lead, along with guard Randy Smith, who did not have a particularly good game Friday, and little Ernie DiGregorio. Now we are taking you inside the Boston Celtic locker room, and you will see some of the familiar faces who will go to work here in about 10 minutes. Dave Cowens, who has been such a devastating force, averaging 18 rebounds and 27 points a game in a playoff series against the Braves. The inspirational leader, John Havlicek, who is playing with an injured left foot, heavily taped today because of that torn muscle underneath it, and he told me he must change his running style. So today, from the auditorium in Buffalo, it is Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Semifinal between Buffalo and Boston. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger. Nice that you could join us here this afternoon in Buffalo. What an exciting afternoon of sports we've got here on CBS. After this game, we'll go out to Oakland, California. You'll see Game 1 of the Western Conference Final between the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors and the surprisingly strong Phoenix Suns. But of course, here in Buffalo, it is Boston against the Braves. To take a closer look at the Braves right now, let's go down to my teammate, Mindy Rudolph.
Jimmy McMillian, it seems every time you turn around, there's Boston waiting in the wings to sort of thwart your strive to the championship.
Well, they are a tough club, and they're a very consistent ball club, and they're going to always be somewhere near or around the championship playoff series like this. So every year we're in it, we expect to see them there.
Now, Jimmy, in Friday night's game, it seemed to me that your team come out rather complacent, that you guys were lethargic. In fact, it almost looked like Boston had intimidated you people. How do you feel about that?
Well, I felt that we didn't start strong enough. I agree with you there. And for whatever reasons that caused that type of situation, we came out too relaxed. We felt the pressure was on them, and they came out playing like the pressure was on them. They came out and took the game to us, and we didn't respond the way we should have responded. Our offense, everybody was standing around, the ball wasn't moving, the bodies weren't moving, and as a result, we couldn't do anything. They played well, they killed us on the board, and they hit some tough shots.
Now, Jim, there's been a lot of talk around the league about this being the only series where the visiting team has not won on the other's home court. Now, you've won 2 at Buffalo. Boston has won 3 at Boston. Is that such a tremendous advantage?
Mindy, I don't think so. I think the advantage in the playoff situation goes to the team that wants the game the most. And it seems as if the 2 times the teams that have been on the particular home courts, for instance, when Boston started out on their court, they needed those 2 games. Okay, they beat us those 2. We came to Buffalo. We needed those 2 games, and we played like it. And that's the way the situation has been. But in order for us to get by them, we're going to have to beat them on their home court. That's providing we win tonight.
You talk about beating on them home court, and you said it just the next question I was going to ask you. Now, you have to beat them today. Your backs are to the wall. If you don't win today, you pack your bags and everybody goes home. Now, you're the captain of this team. One of the criticisms that I've had about the Buffalo club, I thought, was possibly their lack of intensity. Now, you're the leader. You're the captain, Jimmy. Anything happened in that locker room before you came out on this court? Because your team looks awfully loose. I've never seen the kids this way.
Well, we can't play when we're tight. We're a very loose bunch of guys. If you ever been in our locker room before a game or close to the pregame talk, we're probably the loosest bunch of guys in the league. But this is the way we get up for a game. And the guys today, they're ready. We realize that if we lose tonight, this afternoon, we'll be on vacation for the rest of the summer. But that's nothing we think about because that would only add the pressure. And we don't need that. We're going to go out today and play as best we can, as hard as we can. And if we can win, we're going to win. And if Boston plays harder and plays better, then they're going to win. As simple as that.
It's the team who's going to score the most points.
That's right.
And the best of luck to you, Jimmy, in today's game.
Thank you, man.
All right, now down to Sonny Hill, who's with Charlie Scott for the Boston story.
I'm with Charlie, and Charlie, you played a big role in the ball game that you beat Buffalo, and you took Ernie D completely out of the offense. What was the thinking of Tommy Heinsohn, and how did you do it?
Well, before then we have been playing, small guard on small guard and big guard on big guard, but we decided that, we didn't want Ernie penetrating, and we didn't want him, making the quick passes to the open men, so it was my job to pick him up whole court and, to guard him by myself and not get any help from any teammates.
Okay, that leads into today's ball game. You're up 1 ball game. If you win, you can go home with the victory. If not, you have to go back to Boston. What is the game plan of the Boston Celtics today?
Well, we want to do the same thing again. Like, we know we have to press them and, and not let them get the easy shot. They're a great offensive team, and we want to make them work hard. So, again, I had to press Ernie and try to keep him busy so that he can't pick out the men for the good percentage shot.
Let's talk about Charlie Scott and the changing role with the Boston Celtics. You're not the highest-scoring ball player you were when you were with Phoenix, but you're playing more complete basketball. How do you see your role?
Well, with this team here, we have, shooters like in John and David and Joe, and my responsibility mainly is to keep the team running and to try to keep the ball moving. We are, a five-man team with perpetual motion, and my quickness is used mostly on that basis.
You have fouled out a lot of ball games this year, and every game it appears you're in foul trouble. Why do you feel that you're in foul trouble each and every ball game?
Well, I think I'm in foul trouble because I'm hustling, and you're helping out. I think that, like a lot of times I can let a guy go when they beat their man, but I try to go over and help out, and sometimes I get there a little late and I commit a foul, but I think that's something that's probably over-exaggerated because no one knows who led the league in foul trouble before this year.
Yeah, because a lot of people have talked about the fact that you committed a lot of fouls. Maybe you're too over-aggressive. Do you feel that possibly you're too over-aggressive on defense?
Well, what's over-aggressiveness? Trying to win. I don't think you ever can put too much into trying to win. I just want to win.
I think that's a credit to you, Charlie, to make that last statement about being over-aggressive and trying to win, because I've known you a long time, and that's the kind of ball that you've tried to play.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Brent Musburger.
All right, Sonny Hill, thank you very much. The hottest singer in Buffalo these days is guard Randy Smith of the Buffalo Braves. That's right. He has a song out about his teammate, Bob McAdoo. And let's take a listen to some of the lyrics here about Big Mac.
Who's gonna dribble that ball down the court? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Who's gonna make that layup and score? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Who's gonna steal that ball on you? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Who's gonna snatch that rebound too? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Big Mac, Big Mac, McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. What's our team got you ain't got? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Who's the guy that's gonna block that shot? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Who's the best scorer in the whole league? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Who's the best center you ever did see? McAdoo, McAdoo, McAdoo. Big Mac,
Big Mac,
Big Mac,
Big Mac. Sing along there, man. Give him a few bars. Come on, Sonny, you can sing that. You can add a couple of verses.
He's going to be a backup guy in a vocal group.
He's got to do it, too, doesn't he, Big Mac, today?
These are the times where I wish I knew how to play a guitar. Where I wish I knew how.
Well, I suppose that neither coach has any great surprise for us today, do they, Mindy?
I spoke to Jack Ramsey. He's going to start Ernie DiGregorio. He thought they didn't execute well at all Friday night, and he feels that if they can execute, if they can go ahead and play their game, they have a heck of a shot here.
All right, the stage is set. Ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. Let's first meet the Boston Celtics. At forward, number 17, John Havlicek. I guess we have to wait here for the PA. We're all set. Number 17 of the Boston Celtics, John Havlicek. The other starting forward for the Celtics, number 35, Paul Silas. At center, number 18, Dave Cowens. At guard, number 10, JoJo White. The other guard, number 11, Charlie Scott. And now let's meet the Buffalo Braves. Number 5, their captain, forward, Jimmy McMillian. At the other forward, number 34, John Shumate. And the center, Big Mac, number 11, Bob McAdoo. At guard, the new voice of the Buffalo Braves, number 9, Randy Smith. The other guard, number 15, Ernie DiGregorio. You had a long talk with Jack Ramsey.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And Jack felt his team was loose. They felt they were ready to play the ball game. He was a little disappointed in their play on Friday night. He felt they were down. He just couldn't get them up. They did not play well. They did not execute well. And again, as I said earlier, all they have to do is play well, execute, and he stands a heck of a shot at beating this Boston club.
Mendy, I'm fascinated by the fact that Jack Ramsey and the Buffalo Braves worked out for 2 hours yesterday and then arrived at the auditorium today a little bit late for them, maybe an hour before game time, and they seem so relaxed and loose after a very difficult practice yesterday.
It was something I haven't noticed in the other 5 games. We've seen them all. And this team is as loose as I've ever seen them. Now, we'll see if that takes place on the court, Brent, because they need this victory. As we said earlier, without this, it's home for everybody.
The Boston Celtics have seemed a little tighter this morning.
Yes, they're not as loose as the Buffalo Braves. But, of course, Boston never really is. They're a very intense club. Now, away we go.
John Shumate goes to the glass. Cowens at the boards again, just as he has been all series. Silas to Havlicek, right baseline. Goes back outside. Cowens all alone. First shot, first basket for the Boston Celtics, and the redhead has lit him up again.
Cowens is shooting as well from outside in this series as any time I've seen him during the year, Brent.
Charlie Scott, who did a sensational job on Ernie D, takes him again, but DiGregorio throws it in over him. They go down court to Scott, who gets back behind DiGregorio. McMillian on the block. Game is tied at 2. Braves must win to stay alive. Game 7 would be in Boston. McAdoo was making his assault on the basket for the first time when the whistle was blown by Darryl Garrettson. Right away, Paul Silas picks up the game's first personal. Cross court, Randy Smith up in the air. Cowens with his second rebound. Pass up court to Charlie Scott. Gets inside the free throw line, and John Shumate with another tremendous defensive block. McMillian and Shumate with block shots already. And here is the captain, McMillian.
As I've said before, when Jimmy McMillian gets into the flow of the game, when he gets into the offensive pattern, Buffalo is very, very tough.
Celtics set up a play. They were very deliberate Friday night, concentrated entirely on defense as they took a 3-2 lead in the series. White, McAdoo, 3 block shots for the Braves on defense.
And as we saw the other night, Big Mac anticipating this play. Just watch Mac come across the lane as JoJo White heads to the hoop. Mac timing it perfectly and just knocking it out of bounds.
Havlicek miss. Braves back down on the attack. They lead it early, 4-2. 10 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the first quarter from the auditorium. McMillian. Down comes Silas with the ball. Gives to Scott. Off to the right and Havlicek. Tied.
The reaction you heard from the crowd was a possible pick set by Silas, which Darryl Garrettson did not call.
Shumate shoots over Cowens. Silas with his second rebound in a row at the defensive end. Havlicek to White. They wheel to Cowens. It's outside the miss. Shumate to Randy Smith. Play.
Great play by Shumate. Randy Smith penetrating to the hoop, and that's what Buffalo needs, Brent. They have to penetrate and get the ball down low.
Celtics trail it by a field goal. Hondo. Too many Braves went up for that rebound, but all's well that ends well. Celtics touch it last. Coach Jack Ramsey signals the play. Ernie D brings it up against the backcourt pressure. They'll try to keep the pressure on the Buffalo guard so that McAdoo doesn't get the ball too close to the basket. That time he did, and he missed the shot. Charlie Scott. Cowens battling. Wins the battle at the offensive end. Second chance. Loose ball foul. Cowens was pushing against McAdoo for position. And Randy Smith was assessed with his first foul.
And that's something interesting. We're watching Cowens, we're watching Silas, we're watching McAdoo, and little Randy Smith picks up the foul.
JoJo White.
Very difficult shot to stop. angled it to the basket. Ernie D just getting picked off, and JoJo White with the height advantage.
Ernie D trying to move around Charlie Scott. Through the first foul from Scott, and Heinsohn not pleased.
Now that's a very interesting call, and we'll see if the officials keep that kind of tempo in the game today. Charlie Scott was using his hands on Ernie DiGregorio, and of course that's a foul. Now we'll see if they call the same type of play down low against Shumate and Cowens, because that's what the coaches want, especially Ramsey.
Tied at 6, 8:44 to go in the first quarter from the auditorium in Buffalo. Smith outside, Cowens jumped out, and Randy hit it anyway.
Great leaping ability of Randy Smith. Cowens jumping out and picking anybody up in a white uniform, but Randy Smith just going over the top.
Havlicek loses it. McMillian races him for the basketball. And it goes over to Buffalo. Let's take a look at that.
Let's pick this hustle up by Jim McMillian, causing the ball to go right off of Havlicek's fingertips.
Buffalo can increase its lead to 4 points. Ernie D all alone on the right side.
Oh, he can't do that.
They have turned it over.
Yes, once he completed his dribble, Brett, and put the ball to the floor, he cannot dribble it again, therefore the violation.
Smith and Ernie D applying some pressure against Scott and White. Havlicek will play both forward and guard in this game. A little more pressure on that foot when he plays forward because he must run baseline to baseline. Battle won by the blade. McMillian off to Ernie D. Behind the back dribble. Pass. It was Havlicek who was open. The Celtics come back down after the turnover. Don't forget right after this game, Phoenix Golden State. Silas from the corner. Scott back out to Havlicek. 9-8.
And that's the strength of the Boston Celtic team. They get those second chances and third chances, and if Buffalo should do anything with this club, they cannot allow them to do that.
McAdoo down in close to the basket, Mendy, where they want him, but he has missed a couple of shots in there. Battle for the ball. McAdoo gets back and hustles. Second chance for Mac.
That's what I mean by second chances. You've got to do that to stay in the ball game. If you did, you'd have to shoot 100% all the time. Therefore, you need that rebound. You need that second chance.
Celtics go for the tie, and Havlicek's got it. A lot different than Friday night, Mendy, when neither team could buy a basket in the opening 3.5 minutes. Havlicek on McMillian. White has Randy Smith. Cowens with Shumate. Scott over on Ernie D.
Ernie D. Of course, he had to fall back to get the shot off because Scott was so tall.
Scott on the drive, drew the foul as he came into the lane, and that's the second foul against Randy Smith. Timeout has been called by Buffalo.
John Havlicek saying, "Give me the ball, man. I'm open. Hit me. Where's everybody?"
We've asked these men to help demonstrate the advantages of a Datsun 5-door wagon over ordinary 3-door wagons. With the Datsun 5-door wagon, you can get in the back seat easier and quicker, which means you can leave quicker.
We both can't get in at the same time. On 3 now, I think we got...
Datsun saves. See the Datsun 610 and 710 5-door wagons at your Datsun dealer.
It's your face, let chick love it. It's your face, let chick love it. It's your face, let chick love it.
Push, pull, click, click. The Schick injector system loves your face this quick. Push, pull, click, click, and you lock a Teflon-coated blade into place for a really smooth, close shave.
It's your face, let chick love it.
Schick injector system, regular or twin blades.
Today's NBA playoff game on CBS is sponsored by Datsun, America's #1 selling import for cars and trucks. Datsun saves. Schick Super 2, the twin-blade cartridge with Teflon. It's your face. Let Schick love it. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer.
Back at the auditorium in Buffalo with the Braves leading the Celtics 12-10. 6 minutes and 30 seconds to play in the first quarter. Charlie Scott comes to the free throw line after drawing that foul from Randy Smith.
Charlie Scott with a chance to tie here, Brent.
Wait till he shoots. Wait.
He does. And there's that backcourt pressure. Trying to make the guards set up far away from the basket and take the offense away from McAdoo if they can. And they were successful this time. Now JoJo White wants Randy Smith to go right. Not as deadly from the right side, but he is this time.
Good pick set by John Shumate. Made it possible for Randy Smith to get open.
JoJo White told me Mindy was going to give him the right side today, but he'll have to tighten up a little bit if Randy continues to hit it. Havlicek lost it, but White was right there. Now back to Hondo, inside to Cowens. Here comes that turnaround. Shumate practiced for about an hour yesterday on that move. And as you can see, it didn't do any good that time.
Shumate has had a lot of difficulty defending against Cowens. Cowens is not only big, but he's awfully quick.
McMillian will have to hurry. Gets it into Shumate. Has it knocked away by Cowens, and there's a foul on the redhead.
Of course, every time there's a foul against Cowens up here in Buffalo, the fans love it. He is the bad guy, but I'll tell you, he is one swell ball player.
Don Adams played the role of Dave Cowens in a special one-on-one drill for John Shumate.
Well, Cowens would do so well, Brent. He is left-handed. John Shumate knows it. He overplays him to his left side. Cowens will go to the lane to his left side 2, 3, 4 times, and then all of a sudden fake him once and then go baseline. And that's where he burns John, and John got that in the back of his head.
Braves lead it by a point. 5:43 to go in the first quarter. Scott on the far side. They'll have to give Havlicek a lot of rest. He certainly is not yet at 100%. White with a shot. They stop the clock.
You heard Daryl Garrison, that once that ball goes through the hoop, he does not want any Boston player to go ahead and touch it, because if they do, what happens is Buffalo has no opportunity to fast break.
Randy Smith threw the foul.
Now there's the consistency that I talked about earlier. A little slap on the arm by JoJo White, and if they continue that, that is going to help Buffalo, because Buffalo is a finesse club. There you see the foul.
Richie Powers and Daryl Garrison officiating this game. 5:16 to go in the first quarter. McMillian and McAdoo and Silas got a hand on it. Mac wants it again. Silas fronts him and takes away the passing lane. McMillian battle underneath. Ernie D was there. Celtics control. Charlie Scott comes all the way with it.
Charlie Scott, great leaping ability, and there's no way that Ernie D can stay with Charlie Scott one-on-one. He's going to have some help from people down low.
Played his best game of this series Friday night in Boston. Smith up in the air from that right side again, but this time he misses. Scott cuts across. Havlicek running.
Some of the players complaining that Havlicek may have taken an extra step on that drive.
Another timeout is called here in the first quarter. Let's take a look.
You'll watch this now. There's 1-2 step. Now the thing he cannot do is pick up the pivot foot, Brent, before he drops the ball to the floor. Of course, John Havlicek is cute, and he gets away with it sometimes.
Miller time. You're so good you can play the blues even when you ain't sad. And tonight you blew the blues away. Now it's time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear. If you've got the time, we've got the beer, Miller Beer.
When you listen to BASF tape, the sound is so clear, it's like the musicians are right there. BASF polishes the tape to help get rid of background noise, so what you hear is the music, pure and clear, which isn't surprising since BASF invented audio tape. We sound like the original because we are the original. BASF.
Mindy, when you watch the game, I had to watch you all Friday night on this.
The pretty girl is like a melody, I'll tell you. As pretty as the weather outside.
I had some of the fans here at Buffalo get on me, say you showed all of those beautiful women in the Boston Garden Friday night. How about Buffalo? So we've got our cameraman out.
Buffalo has as pretty a girls as any place in the country, I'll tell you.
Ernie
It's got to be the weather up here, that beautiful weather.
Setting up a play. It's not snowing today either. It's very nice outside. McAdoo on a turnaround.
McAdoo just knew he was going to take a shot that time. He cried for the ball, give me the ball. He just felt he had the right position.
Here come the Celts. JoJo White will run against Ernie D. and try to tire him out, make him work very hard on defense. That's his strategy down here at the offensive end. See him pop out on the other side like that? That's what he wants to do.
Good call, Brent, because that's what they do when they get Ernie D in the ball game. The two guards will work on him.
Here's McMillian. That's his spot in this offense today, Mindy. No doubt about it. They want him to set up right at the line. And McAdoo, they want him to shoot from that spot.
McAdoo, the human scoring machine. Just a powder puff touch.
McAdoo can do. It's 22-19, 3:30 to go in the first. Big Paul Silas. Back to Scott from the corner. Charlie Scott can light him up. He has lacked consistency for the Celtics this year. I have seen him play spectacularly on some occasions, and on others he simply has disappeared for Boston this year. Friday night he was devastating. McAdoo.
That's one thing about streak shooters and hot shooters. When you get a kid like McAdoo who starts off shooting well, as is Charlie Scott shooting well, they will continue to shoot, look for their shots, and they gain their confidence as the game goes on. They can become more and more dangerous. Now there's Charlie Scott with another shot that just missed.
Mindy, the key thing here is McAdoo is almost hand-fighting Silas away from that offensive board. We got to get some isolation on that. Cowens back down at the defense. And I understand from our director, Sandy Grossman, we've got it. So here's JoJo White popping out. Shumate was there. Silas has position on the other side. The ball went off to the right. Now here's McAdoo. Great pass inside his face. Look at 24-23.
McAdoo finding Smith wide open. That's a pretty play. Hitting Smith with a straight two-hand pass.
Celts come up. No substitutions yet in this game. Sixth game of this Eastern Conference Semifinal. Look at McAdoo against Silas. Had contact.
Here's the contact we talked about later. Look at Silas working on McAdoo. And now three men converge on him. Cowens on the outside. And that's what Boston does so well. They converge. They block off the driving lanes. We're back to live.
2 fouls on Silas. Ernie D. traveled.
Right before the shot was released, unfortunately for Ernie D. Ernie D. just shuffled a little Buffalo shuffle. Wipe out the basket.
Mindy, if I remember correctly, Silas did not have a single foul in the first half Friday night. And what a force he was on the glass in that third quarter in the Boston Garden. Braves are concentrating heavily on taking away his position at this end. Havlicek with a pretty play. What Hondo does better than anyone I have ever seen consistently is get open for the quick hoop. It's a 3-point Celtic lead.
And Jimmy McMillian was picked on the play, and if Buffalo is to cut that out and stop it, they've got to switch a lot better on defense.
Another superb defensive play. Look at JoJo White.
And look where Cowens was, ready for that offensive rebound on that play.
5-point Celtic lead. 1:20 to go in the first quarter from the yard. Buffalo must win to stay in the playoffs. Game 7 in Boston will be scheduled Wednesday. Game 1, Phoenix Golden State coming up on CBS right after this, to be followed by the Houston Open. Shumate fires to Ernie D, who works it off against the shot clock and cans it.
I'll tell you, on that last play, Havlicek was just boxing McAdoo out, just pushing him back, and no call. Ramsey was furious.
That adds a lot of stress to the left foot of John Havlicek. That makes playing forward a little more difficult than guard also. Silas rolls through the lane. Inside of the 1 minute mark in the first period. Ernie D over to the left. He likes to go to the right. McAdoo. Oh, he didn't hit anything.
And McAdoo can do. He is having a heck of a first quarter.
3-point Celtic lead. The amazing John Havlicek working against McMillian. I think Jimmy McMillian is bothered more by that knee than they have let on in this series. Ernie D, hand guarding White, who rolls around him to the left and takes that jump shot off the iron. Randy Smith yanks it down. Now the Braves can pull it within a point. Just seconds left. McAdoo against the clock in the air, in and out. Got back to Silas to Scott. Last second, Havlicek's shot is off.
And that's my
right
very
there, I'll tell you. He almost had it. You're right. So we've come to the end of 1 quarter. The auditorium in Buffalo, Celtics up by 3.
I really find my Datsun extremely durable. I drive it everywhere. I literally live in the car to a degree. And 247,000 miles on that Datsun, and it just keeps going and going and going and refuses to quit going. That's a durable car.
They're put together to stay together for Datsun savings that just won't quit. All 3 Datsun B210s deliver 41 miles per gallon highway, 29 city. Datsun saves.
The NBA playoffs on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. From the studio that brought you Rich Man, Poor Man comes the Keegans, a family united by murder. Tomorrow on CBS.
Introducing Motor Trend Magazine's 1976 Import Car of the Year, the Celicas from Toyota. Motor Trend calls all 3 Celicas the right cars at the right time and picked them over every other import. This award is based on engineering, styling, comfort, and performance. If you're asking for a quality car, listen to Motor Trend. Get a Toyota. Quality.
You ask for it, you got it. Toyota.
Simplicity's new 8-horsepower lawn tractors make picture book lawns easy as ABC. Free-floating mower action follows ground contours for anti-scalp mowing, regardless of dips or ridges. Now get Simplicity quality at a surprisingly low price. And remember, when it comes to lawn and garden care, Simplicity wrote the book. Look for your Simplicity dealer in the Yellow Pages or call toll-free.
Channel 2, New York.
What they shoot, Mindy, in that first quarter? Friday night, about 30%. Both teams hitting 50. You can say that a couple of times this afternoon on CBS. The best in basketball. Not only the Celtics and the Braves, but right after this, Phoenix and Golden State from Oakland. Game 1. That game will be followed by the Houston Open.
And in that first quarter, Brent, was Havlicek with 10 and McAdoo with 10. Leading scorers on either club.
Charlie Scott fires the first shot. Shumate off the floor, yanks it down. Don Nelson is checked in. Randy Smith from over the left side. That's the spot that he wants to get to in this series, particularly in this game. JoJo White. He moves that jump shot around about as well as any perimeter shooter in the league, doesn't he, Mendy?
And he shoots it from different angles, and he shoots it with a different arc, which makes it that much more difficult to time.
Celtics possess a 5-point lead. Inside Ernie D.
I don't know how he threaded the needle on that pass. Charlie Scott was all over Ernie D. A pretty pass.
McAdoo, that's where they want Silas, is outside. He drives to the glass. Drew the foul on the way to the hoop.
And McAdoo didn't do.
That's the first foul on McAdoo, too, Mindy.
Silas beats McAdoo with a step, and there's the foul just right on the left shoulder. Silas had the ball protected very well on that shot. He knew where McAdoo was, and he knew where he should not put the ball.
Kenny Charles checks into the Buffalo backcourt. Randy Smith.
Well, that's very interesting, Brent. This is about the first time in the series that I've seen Ernie D and Kenny Charles on the court at the same time, with Randy Smith being substituted for first, I should say. Ernie D usually is the kid that comes out first.
Ramsey obviously pointing something out to Smith. He may not be keeping him out of this game very long. Here's Charles. First time he's possessed the ball. Misses. Cowens all alone. 10:48 to go in the first half. Nelson wanted to set up Vick. Scott went the other way. Turnaround jump shot. Off the glass. Shumate again. Lead to McAdoo. One-on-one basketball, and he got it done.
Yeah, what a move he put on Silas. He had Silas going the other way, just pulled up and hit the short jumper.
3-point Celtic lead. 10:18 to go in the first half. Now Silas goes underneath. McAdoo keeping an eye on him. And there was Silas. He got the rebound anyway. Not this time. Ernie D has touched it. JoJo White has it, and he's hit by DiGregorio. John Havlicek checking back into the game, and this time you will play guard.
This may look like a foolish foul by Ernie D, but actually it's a good foul by Ernie D because JoJo White was going to put to the ball to the floor once and take that short jumper.
Don Adams comes in for Buffalo, and McMillian goes out. Charlie Scott was the Celtic who went to the bench when John Havlicek checked in. I saw an interesting thing. Mindy, Silas doesn't watch the ball when it's fired. He goes to the glass and sets up a position. Havlicek hits it.
And when he sets up that position, Brent, he will set up the inside position even if he has to go out of bounds to get it.
Most rebounders watch the shot. Ernie D on the roll, banks it off the glass. Pretty play. Celtics up by 3, 9:40. Lead pass JoJo White. Ernie D with the interception. Looked like a great cornerback on that play, and here is Kenny Charles. Buffalo can hold it in 1 point. 9:28 to go in the first half. Adams being watched by Nelson. Charles has Cowens. Shumate has Silas. Havlicek must take McAdoo. Shumate.
That was the foreplay that they called to get Shumate down low to cause the switch over on Havlicek to McAdoo. The ball went to Shumate, and we'll look for that more. That's the foreplay.
Backcourt pressure by the Braves, and Havlicek brings it up. Kevin Stakem will check into the game. Hundo in the lane. McAdoo with a rebound. Braves wanted to break, but White and Silas got back quickly on defense and took it away. 8:50 in the first half. It's a 36-35 game. Buffalo, which desperately needs this victory. Over the top and out of play.
And we'll have Neil Schluter coming into the ball game.
McAdoo going over to the side as we've got a timeout. 36-35 and 8:41, and both coaches at this point in the game are going to their benches frequently, Mindy.
3 months ago, this lady couldn't run around our block. This morning, 3 miles in under 24 minutes.
23.
And I've got her eating the good breakfast she used to feed me. And you better believe Wheaties is part of it. The whole wheat in Wheaties offers basic nutrition. Good, wholesome whole wheat with all of the bran. Yeah, she eats right and stays fit. 3 miles in under 24 minutes.
23.
She's been working out without me. You've been working out without me?
I've been working out without him.
I definitely recommend a Datsun from the experience that I've had. Well, when I originally bought the pickup, I thought I'd be able to put about 50,000 miles on it, and then I was figuring on trading it off. But it's got 118,000 miles on it now. It's been absolutely the most durable vehicle I've ever owned, and I'll definitely buy another one if it ever wear out.
2 tough Datsun pickups, 7-foot stretch and 6-foot standard. No wonder Datsun's America's #1 selling small pickup. Datsun saves.
Let's focus right here and press the button. Okay. Hey, that's it. Hold it. Just a nice smile.
Polaroid's Deluxe SX70 land camera. There's nothing like the kick of seeing your pictures develop in minutes before your eyes. With 3 SX70s to choose from and the new Little Pronto at $66, why don't you get one for yourself?
I just want to take one.
Crowd came late to this game as we take a look at the leaderboard from the Houston Open. Right after this NBA contest, we go out west, Golden State, Phoenix, and then the final holes of the Houston Open. 36 holes today because they were rained out the first day of competition. I mentioned about the crowd before I went into that leaderboard, Mindy, but the auditorium has filled up considerably in the last 10 or 15 minutes. I guess everybody came to the game after going to church, probably. Nelson has it taken away by Schluter, and here comes Adams. He's got a gimme. Collision down there. Referee went into a photographer. It was Darryl Garrettson. Kevin Stakem was at that end.
And Darryl is up on his feet. He's okay. He fell on some padding. He really did. And here's a foolish foul by Kevin Stakem. There's an easy field goal coming from Adams. Now all he has to do is either avoid him, but if he is going to commit a foul, Brett, he's got to make certain that he kills the field goal, which he did not do.
Just out of our frame, it appeared as though Stakem crashed into Darryl, and that pushed him over the cameraman who was down at that end of the court. So Adams comes to the free throw line. That field goal put the Braves up by 1. They now go up by 2.
Now, there was a little side play there between Cowens and Schluter. That's why Richie Powers blew his whistle. Now we'll look for that because there's no love lost between Dale and between Cowens. Dale Schluter and Cowens will go nose to nose.
Schluter takes Cowens as the Celts come down. Charles bounced off of Silas to the floor. Inside to Stakem. Now Smith goes down. Nelson at the line.
And I'll tell you, Cowens just put Randy Smith to the floor. Kenny Charles just bounced off of Silas. And if the officials are going to have a point in the game where the Celtics can take control, it's got to be right now. Ramsey complaining that that was the same play that Silas pulled on Kenny Charles, which they allowed to go, and the same play that Dale Schluter pulled, they called. Now we'll watch the officials. They've got their work cut out for them at this moment in the second quarter.
Cowens coming in behind, shoots over Schluter. Look at big Paul Silas battle under there. Couldn't get the basket.
Well, we've got a goaltending play.
Let's check this one.
Let's watch this now. Just keep your eye on the ball. Silas has it. It's on the glass. Very questionable, but I've got to go with the officials. The ball was just on the ring. And when it's there, you've got to keep your hands off it. However, I think that if they did not touch it, the ball would not have scored. But the fact still remained that the ball just was in contact with the ring.
And that field goal by Paul Silas put the Celts ahead by 2. With 7:25 to go in the first half. Adams, turnaround on Nelson. Look at Cowens come up over the top of Schluter and knock him down.
I told you, Cowens and Schluter. I'll tell you, Brett, you can see it, you can feel it, you can sense it. The intensity of this game has picked up. The physical abuse that some of these players are taking out there right now is almost coming toward our booth. I can feel it in my body.
McAdoo turns his back on Silas. Comes into the lane. Cowens was there, and Schluter came up over his back and fouled him.
Now this is the point that they've got to take control. There it is. There's Schluter. That play must be called.
Charles picks up Havlicek, pressuring the ball. Silas comes out to help Hondo. Here's Cowens. Adams backed into him.
We're going to have a foul on Adams here now. The fans don't like it. The officials at this point have got to take control, and they are doing it.
Personal against Adams, and the 4th team foul against Buffalo. John Shumate is going to check back in.
In the Olympics, you really hold your breath when they get out the measuring tape. Every fraction counts. Maybe that's why Lufkin is the official measuring tape for the 1976 Olympic Games. You too can get that same precision in Lufkin Power Tapes for your toolkit. Now, for a limited time, get a free carpenter's apron with these Lufkin tapes. Judge Lufkin for yourself, the Olympics did. Lufkin, one of the great family of tools from Cooper Industries.
Americans are on the move, going everywhere, and Michelin's the tire that's gonna take them there. Michelin first, Michelin first.
The radial is the only way to travel, America, so it's the only tire we make. We don't compromise, and you don't have to either, because Michelin radials cost less than you think.
We don't make a second best.
The NBA playoffs will continue next Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern when CBS Sports will present a doubleheader of the exciting semifinals. That's next Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Tommy Heinsohn has done some substituting. Charlie Scott will check back in. Steve Kaburski is on the floor for the first time. Shumate, Jimmy McMillian, McAdoo, Smith, and Ernie D for the Braves. Schluter goes over to the sideline, so the game might cool down a little bit.
As does Adams go over to the sidelines. He has taken some of his muscle out, Jack Ramsey has, and let's see if they go to finesse basketball.
6 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the first half. Boston ahead by a couple of points. JoJo. John Shumate, who just checked in with another rebound.
And Shumate was not to be denied.
Here's Smith. High game.
You mentioned the left side earlier with Randy Smith. I don't think it makes a difference, left side or right side.
Scott trying to elude Smith. No whistle. Heinsohn can't believe it. Cowens knocks it back to Scott. Celtics with a second chance. Here's Nelson. Shumate watching Cowens. Just short, and McAdoo was at the glass. With Silas not in the lineup, the Celtics have lost the rebounding muscle. From the left corner, Smith again. 42-40, Buffalo up.
Buffalo is moving the ball up the court a lot faster now with Silas on the bench. They're rebounding a lot better, and when you've got the ball, you can control that type of thing.
Havlicek set to check back in. Celtics working against the shot clock. White inside, but no basket.
We're going to have an offensive foul against JoJo White for pushing off Ernie DiGregorio and trying to get the field goal and trying to get the position. Good call by Powers.
Many two personals against JoJo. Smith bringing it up. Turnover. Here's Havlicek. Off quickly to Kaburski.
Look at Cowens. Look at Cowens. Unbelievable. I talk about Cowens. He's not even in your picture at this moment. Watch him come from nowhere and just fight for a rebound and just go up there with great desire. He is unbelievable when it comes to hustle.
3 fouls on Cowens. And 5 minutes to go in the first half. Buffalo leading by a field goal. They go to the double team. McAdoo hits McMillian. And he's fouled.
On the second attempt. Not on the first attempt. He had his hand on the ball. Ramsey was bleeding for a call. You mentioned some fouls on Cowens. Now, what is important about that, Brent, is the following. Tommy Heinsohn in previous games, if he could keep Cowens out of foul trouble as they entered into the late stages of the game, he would take Cowens off of Shumate and put Cowens onto McAdoo. Now, if Cowens gets into foul trouble and possibly picks up a fourth in the third quarter, he will not do that. He will not have that opportunity to get his big redhead over on the big scorer, McAdoo. And that will hurt Boston.
I'm impressed with the way John Shumate is handling the defensive backboard for Buffalo. He's getting good position. Silas will be checking back in shortly. Here he comes. Clock shows 4:43 to go. Celtics trail by 2 field goals, then cut it in half. They tried it in Havlicek. Smith was there, cut off the pass lane. And as Randy Smith came up, there was a foul called in the backcourt.
And a backcourt foul against Charlie Scott. And that puts Boston in the penalty situation. We'll go to the free throw line, 3 for 2. And the crowd has come alive.
There was Scott hitting Smith, who was coming out. Randy did an excellent defensive job that time. Just stepped right into that passing line. Tommy Heinsohn taking Cowens out. Jimmy Ard has replaced Kaburski. And, of course, Paul Silas is back in. Havlicek and White, along with Scott, Silas, and Ard for the Celtics against McAdoo, Shumate, Smith, Ernie D., and Jimmy McMillian. A couple of more. Don't forget, Boston's in the penalty, as Mindy told you. 4:33 to go in the first half. That puts Buffalo up by 5.
You saw Tommy Heinsohn substitute for Dave Cowens. In the prior 5 games, Cowens has sat out a total of only 1 minute and 58 seconds. He has played the entire 5-game series, so to speak.
Scott against Smith. Smith staying right with Charlie. Jimmy Ard off the White. McAdoo. Here comes Ernie D. Lead pass a little short. Silas with the interception intended for Shumate. Now we come down to 4-10. 6-point Buffalo lead. Scott, underhand, pretty play.
That lead pass that Ernie D come up short with could have really set this crowd on fire.
Got him right there. McAdoo was working against Ard. No question about it.
Interesting to see how Garrison and Powers are officiating this ball game. Not that they're giving McAdoo any protection, but they're not allowing Boston to beat up on him. Now they've called fouls against Cowens, against Silas. Now there's a foul against Ard. They are being very, very consistent here in the first 2 quarters.
Wait till he shoots. Wait.
Tommy Heinsohn trying to get something going. Celtics down by 5. 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Cowens will come right back into the game. Foul is on Shumate as Cowens does get an opportunity here to report into the game. Drops off the towel and Jimmy Ard goes out.
And Cowens wasn't out but a minute just to get himself a little rest. I say he has tremendous stamina. Tremendous stamina. Little switch on the foul line now. Havlicek going back to pick up Jimmy McMillian. JoJo White going to come in and rebound against Bob McAdoo.
A 3-point Buffalo lead after those free throws by Silas. Backcourt pressure from Scott and White. Ernie D. handling the ball. Smith goes over to the left side. Comes in behind McMillian. McMillian with a shot. Silas with a rebound. Puts it on the floor, gives it to Hondo. Lead pass, White's open underneath, and Ernie D. got it on the block. And here comes Ernie D. 47-44, Braves on the fly. Back to McAdoo. Cowens. 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the first half.
You got to give the little guy a lot of credit on that last block by JoJo White. JoJo has a definite height advantage, and yet Ernie D. with his hustle went up there and blocked the shot. You'll pick it up in the replay here, Donna. There's no way you figure Ernie D. can get up that high, but there it was, doing a tremendous defensive job.
That basket pulled the Celts to within 1, and 2:52 to go. Shumate wanted McAdoo. Silas deflected the ball. McAdoo and Scott were battling on the side. Ball went out of bounds. And we've got a timeout. Ernie D. and the Braves go over to talk to Jack Ramsey. We take a look at Silas with a fine defensive move.
Through the haze of all the clamor and claims of automotive superiority comes now a quiet whisper. A motor car which comes as close to speaking for itself as any ever built. The fuel-injected Datsun 280Z and 2+2. This is perfection.
Hi. I don't drive that way out on the streets, and please don't you either. You know the old gray ghost here? Well, inside she runs like a top. That's why the folks at STP hired me, because they know I take good care of my own cars, including my new family wagon here, and I use STP oil treatment in all of them. They want me to tell you why? I'll tell you why. On account of it works. And that's the name of that tune.
Next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, the CBS Sports Spectacular will present the Alabama 500 with Richard Petty competing for $200,000 in prize money. The Women's World Cup Surfing Championships from Haleiwa, Hawaii, the richest women's surfing event ever. And highlights of the Spanish Grand Prix with a six-wheel Formula One racer competing for the first time in Grand Prix racing. That's next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Mindy, what did you say to that man outside that restaurant? He was trying to put, what, a dime in the parking meter?
Yeah, he put a dime in the pocket meter, and when it registered, he took a look. He had a little too much to drink, and he said, I'll be darned. He said, I lost 100 pounds.
Silas to Havlicek. The bad joke of the week from Mindy Rudolph. And we get it in the first half. Scott, in and out. I think we need Mindy acting that one out at curbside. It's much better, folks. Here's Smith on the right side into McAdoo. It's 47-46, 2:27. Banks it in. 3-point Brave lead. Down to 2:20, and here come the Celts.
Silas and Charlie Scott all over McAdoo, yet getting the shot up off the glass.
White from the left corner as he moves Ernie D around on defense.
Now, more and more that's become evident. Boston will isolate Ernie D, as we've said in previous games, and if Ernie D is going to be effective at all, he needs some help on defense. He cannot handle JoJo White or Charlie Scott one-on-one.
Keeping McAdoo out away from the basket, even though White has him, and JoJo bumping on him. Missed shot. Scott lead pass White, and Ernie D cuts it off. Good anticipation by Ernie. He caught White breaking back out of the corner of his eye and jumped back there. 1:45 left in the first half. Braves leading 49-48. Ramsey looking on. Celts can slide back into the lead. Havlicek is down underneath with McMillian on him. McAdoo watching Silas. Cowens comes to the left side with Shumate. Goes to Havlicek. Shot clock down toward 10 seconds. Scott. Battle for the ball. McAdoo backed into Paul Silas. Silas was there.
Paul Silas, in his attempt to get offensive rebounding position, caused that last foul. Now there it is. On McAdoo. McAdoo will go through the free throw line for 2 shots. We talk about Paul Silas an awful lot. I'm talking to Jack Ramsey before the game, Brent. He had isolated Paul Silas on tape and just edited out a lot of positions, a lot of portions of games that he had seen. And he was showing them not so much to get Shumate to play like Silas, but to show him what Silas does as far as positioning on offensive rebounds. He recognizes the fact that Silas is not that great a leaper, but he gets great position.
1:25 to go in the first half, and Mindy Silas went out with the 3 fouls. JoJo White, battle McAdoo and Havlicek, and Kaburski were all underneath. Foul is against Kaburski.
And the Buffalo Braves are getting good position on both boards. They are protecting the ball, protecting the boards. Now you'll watch Kaburski come into your picture here on this rebound, and there's McAdoo with good position. There's the foul. When you have position, you can rebound. You don't necessarily have to be a leaper or be so big. Position is everything in life and on the basketball court.
Kenny Charles replaces Ernie DiGregorio for Buffalo. Ernie gets a nice round of applause. What a series he's had against the Braves after languishing on the bench this season. McAdoo has had difficulty at the free throw line until here in the first half. Those two put the Braves in command 53-48. Move down inside. 1 minute and 10 seconds to play. Smith on the steal. Trying to pick it up on the dribble. Scott cuts him off, and he traveled, put it down a couple of times, turned it over.
What had happened is that Randy Smith had bounced the ball once. Powers felt he had control, and then he picked it up with 2 hands and went again. Violation.
Havlicek pops back to take the pass from White. Just about 1 minute to play. Now we're inside of 1 minute left in the first half. Celts trying to pull to within 3. Kaburski puts it up. McMillian off to Charles. Time winding down. Scott taking Smith. Smith fires up over him off the rim. McAdoo with an offense to the second chance. Cowens is there. Lead pass for Scott. Smith is back. Didn't see the ball. Scott comes into the lane and hits.
Whoa, it looked like an offensive foul to me. Randy Smith was retreating all the way, had good defensive position on Charlie Scott. No call by Garrison, and a very important field goal for the Celtics.
Reminder, we'll have Red Auerbach on round ball at halftime. Sonny Hill will be here with highlights from the first half. Charles, the Big Mac, who starts to run, gets inside Kaburski, passes to Shumate at the other side of the hoop.
Underhand scoop by McAdoo. Great play.
That's a 5-point as White puts it up at the horn. First half is over, and you can tell who's ahead by listening to the crowd here in the Odd in Buffalo. This is a game the Buffalo Braves must win. They minute to play. Now we're inside of 1 minute left in the first half. Celtics trying to pull to within 3. Kaburski puts it up. McMillian off to Charles. Time winding down. Scott taking Smith. Smith fires up over him off the rim. McAdoo with it off into the second chance. Dave Cowens is there. Lead pass for Scott. Smith is back. Didn't see the ball. Scott comes into the lane and hits.
Whoa, it looked like an offensive foul to me. Randy Smith was retreating all the way, had good defensive position on Charlie Scott. No call by Garrison, and a very important field goal for the Celtics.
Reminder, we'll have Red Auerbach on round ball at halftime. Sonny Hill will be here with highlights from the first half. Charles, the Big Mac, who starts to run, gets inside Kaburski, passes to Shumate at the other side of the hoop.
Underhand scoop by McAdoo. Great play.
That's a 5-point as White puts it up at the horn. First half is over, and you can tell who's ahead by listening to the crowd here in the Odd in Buffalo. This is a game the Buffalo Braves must win. They trail the Boston Celtics 3 games to 2. To force a 7th game, they have to have this. 24 minutes to play.
You see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
What is this? We ordered the chef's surprise.
It is the chef's surprise. Surprise!
You get enough surprises when you travel. That's why Holiday Inn thinks the best surprise is no surprise. You know you can count on a good restaurant and good food. Just one of 152 special standards from food to big comfortable rooms. Standards that let you know at every Holiday Inn the best surprise is no surprise.
A muffler job? Look, we got a lot of important work here.
Hugo, I bought my car here.
We sold you a car?
Well, I'll squeeze you in the 5th of January.
Foreign car drivers, you don't have to take it anymore. Now Midas gives you the service that made us famous. So you're usually in and out in 30 minutes without an appointment. Come to Midas. We're foreign car specialists. We have to do a better job.
I'm Rick Barry, and if you're a basketball fan, I have an idea that's as exciting as sinking the game winner. Visit Basketball's Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts, the game's mecca. You'll see our glamorous yesterdays, the men and the teams, amateur and professional, who built the sport you love. Dr. James Naismith, who invented basketball. Bob Cousy, who refined it. George Mikan, its first oversized star. John Wooden, the legendary coach. They're all there along with 90 more. It's open year-round, waiting for you.
Red Auerbach on round ball. Red Auerbach on round ball is sponsored by Consolidated Cigar Corporation, makers of Dutch Masters cigars.
Ross Billings of Dutch Master Cigars is in charge of curing the world's most expensive to-grow wrapper tobacco. Instruments in the dark curing sheds can tell him a lot, but only his master's nose can tell the moment great tobacco says it is ready to be a Dutch Master cigar. That's beautiful. Now you know why Dutch masters like our president taste so good. They really are masters at Dutch Masters.
Fast break offense, synonymous with the Boston Celtics. We've used it for years and years. Why? Because it's the best offensive weapon there is. It's a way of life. It's a philosophy. All the time that we're in that ball game, anytime we intercept a pass, get a rebound, the first thing we do is look down the court, ready to take advantage of the defense. Now, to demonstrate this, we have here on the defense, who are going to start the fast break, there's Charlie Scott, there's JoJo White, there's Dave Cowens at center, Paul Silas at the forward, and John Havlicek at the other forward. Playing the part in the offense is Don Nelson. Don will take the shot. Charlie Scott will brush him, break down the court. The rebound will be coming off there. The first thing they'll do is get that ball and look down. All right, let's go. See the pass, the follow through, the shot. All the defensive men who turned into offense, starting the fast break, immediately went down the court. Why? Suppose Charlie Scott was not free. Suppose he was in trouble. One of them could be a trailer. But in any event, the point is we use the long pass as the first part of the fast break. All right, the mechanics of this long pass, and it's often called the baseball pass, you've got to be certain that you don't curve the ball. After the ball released, your thumb must be down, your follow-through is up, your forearm is straight. Now watch John as he turns around to make the pass. His forearm is straight, he's got the seams over here at the ball, his head is up. When he releases the ball, watch the follow-through. All right, John. See the fingers? It's very, very important that he maintain that follow-through and notice the head, the position of the head, but most important, the fingers and this thumb down. All right, in your fast break offense, naturally you can't get that long baseball pass and have the guy open every time. So this is the way it usually occurs during the course of the game. Charlie Scott will take the shot. All right, let's go. Goes out to Paul Silas, out to the side to JoJo. Charlie takes the middle. Havlicek takes the outside lane, takes the shot. All right, here's a 2-on-1 situation because many times you throw the long baseball pass, you don't have the play. So you try to get a 2-on-1, which is the next best thing. Now watch Charlie Scott the way he's going to pass that ball. Very simple. John takes the layup. All right, next two. All right, watch JoJo White's move. It'll be a little bit different. Behind the back pass because Don Nelson playing the defense commit himself. Now watch this play. All right, he faked the pass and he took the layup himself. Well, watch JoJo, the same type of thing. Faked the pass, went up himself on the play. Well, you've just seen part of the fast break. I just can't give it all to you in one show. So let's watch the next show and get more on the fast break.
When the Dutch Masters tobacco buyer comes to Colombia, South America, he visits tobacco dealers like me, Lorenzo Hernandez. He's looking for only the top grades of tobacco for Dutch Masters. And he knows all the Masters' tricks to make sure he finds them. Like this. Now you know why a Dutch Masters like the Panatella has such good taste. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
Red Auerbach on Round Ball has been sponsored by Consolidated Cigar Corporation, makers of Dutch Master cigars. There really are masters at Dutch Masters. The NBA playoffs on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. For a price, he will fight your war, train your army, or assassinate your enemy. Meet him on 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.
It's crazy.
crazy to let them go out on a night like this.
She's waited months for tonight. Mom, is that Jeff? Hello, Jeff.
Mr. Stewart? Mr. Stewart?
Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, do me a favor, will you? Take my Volvo.
Over the years, safety has been an obsession with Volvo. Because of all the things that go into a Volvo, the ones we've always valued most are people.
Be careful.
It's the biggest warehouse surplus sale in Robert Hall's history. Over 100,000 suits and sport coats to be sold below cost. This week only. All red tag suits originally $89, now $29. All yellow tag suits originally $69, now $19. Sport coats that sold at $39, now $15. And $29 sport coats, now just $10. So don't miss out on this men's apparel sale at all Robert Hall and Robert Hall Village stores.
Channel 2, New York. Today's NBA playoff game is sponsored by Datsun, America's #1 selling import for cars and trucks. Datsun saves. And by the Champion Spark Plug Company. Get better mileage. Fill her up with Champions.
Halftime in Buffalo. I'll tell you what, Sonny Hill, I would like to have a piece of the concessions in this arena. Look at those empty seats. Do they go down for the hot dogs and beer here?
Not only that, but we've got a rumble on here right now between these two ball clubs. That's verbiage from my corner in North Philadelphia, because these two ball clubs are really going after one another. And it's, I thought, of indicative of the way that this series has gone all the way, where the home court has been to the advantage of both ball clubs, where in some of the other series, the home court has not been that much of an advantage.
Buffalo certainly doing some of the things that you said they had to do over our scrambled eggs this morning.
Well, that's what they're doing, scrambling. That's what Boston did in the last ball game. But in this ball game, they're getting inside quite a bit. And Ernie D deserves a lot of credit for that, because he's penetrating to the basket, not only to score, but he's finding the open man. And when you find the open man, it tends to become contagious to other people. McAdoo, for example, who is not one of the better passers in basketball, but he is finding the open man also. And that creates good ball movement. And when you have that, and a team that shoots as well as Buffalo does, that's one of the reasons why they're in front right now.
What'd you pick out for us in the way of highlights that we can take a look at as we see the Boston Celtics filing back, ready to take some practice shots? They trail it by 5 points here, 55-50. And here are the highlights.
This first one inside here, great hustle on the part of the Celtics. Now McAdoo goes to the floor, comes up with the loose ball. This is Boston Celtic ball, but the Celtics are doing it. McAdoo puts it home. John Havlicek played very well in the first part of the ball game. He goes to the basket for a strong drive. Shumate, who rebounded very strong in the ball game, gets the ball out to Ernie D. Ernie D to McAdoo, and here it is, contagious. The pass inside to Randy Smith. Good movement of the ball all the way around. Here's Dave Cowens on a post play. Havlicek cuts through. Man does not go with him, and the Celtics were getting inside for the high percentage shot. And talking about going to the basket, Ernie D on penetration to the basket, that creates a lot of pressure on the defense. McAdoo with a great pass off to Shumate. And again, we talk about contagious, things that will become spontaneous to the rest of the ball club. Good movement, passing, movement around the ball, in front, Buffalo Braves.
They're stopping the big redhead, too. David Cowens has dominated this series until the first half of this game. What's he got, 4 points and 3 fouls? They're doing a job.
Well, the fouls really hurt him, because he has to play aggressive to be effective. If he's not playing aggressive, if he's just out there trying to be a finesse ball player, well, Dave Cowens can go home, because that's not his game. But when it comes to playing aggressive, then maybe he's the premier player at doing that.
That's probably what Jack Ramsey was concentrating upon during that 2-hour practice session.
Well, you talked very well about that when you said they were trying to take that middle away. If you take the middle away from Cowens, you take away not only his shot, but the options that he has off of it. I personally would make him go baseline. If he scored 40 points on me going baseline, I wouldn't care, because I would take away the other options. And that's how you try to defense a ball player, not to give him as many options as he would like, but make him do the things on the floor that your defense and your set team philosophy will let you know what's going on.
Sonny, any thoughts about the second game on CBS?
That's a big one out there. It's kind of hard to really say what's going on out there because you have to see the matchups. But I would personally think that Golden State, because of their experience and their very deep bench, would have the advantage in that particular series.
All right, Sonny Hill. And, of course, right after the second half of this game, we'll have that contest between Phoenix and Golden State, then the final round of the Houston Open, all coming up on CBS.
Enjoy the relaxing, massaging feel of pulsating water with new dial massage from Pollenex. Now dial from 4 different shower heads to feel relaxed, invigorated, soothed, rejuvenated. Pulsating jets massage tired, aching muscles. A fine spray exhilarates. A coarse spray rinses thoroughly. The exclusive wide pulsator relaxes simple tensions. Dial the greatest feeling ever with dial massage by Pollenex. Wall mount or handheld. Installs in minutes.
It's your face, let chick. Love it, it's your face, let chick. Love it, it's your face, let chick. Love it.
Schick loves your face with Super 2, the only twin-blade cartridge with a Teflon coating that makes closeness really comfortable. It fits track 2 handles, and it really loves your face.
It's your face, let Schick love it.
Schick Super 2, regular or adjustable.
Nothing equals the thrill of playing in the NBA. But for youth who never finish high school, there's another kind of thrill, earn another pluma. I'm Melvin Hayes. Here, inner city youth learn self-respect and discipline while completing their education. Another example of United Way agencies working to give people a chance all year long. Thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Basketball Association.
Back at the yard in Buffalo, let's check with Mindy Rudolph, who's standing by with Jack Ramsey. Mindy?
Jack, you can't be unhappy with what your club did with Dave Cowens that first half.
I think we played a good first half, Mindy. I like to pick up a little stronger defensively, especially with our guards, and I like to take better advantage of their fronting McAdoo inside. Those are the thing. I think we played a good half. I'd like to continue that with a little improvement in those 2 areas.
And no changes for the second half at all then?
No, we're starting the same and we'll hope to finish the same.
Okay, Jack, a lot of good luck to you. Good luck. Okay, down to Sonny Hill.
Tommy, in the first half of the ball game, Dave Cowens got in a little foul trouble. Give us a little insight to what may happen if he gets into more of a foul situation in the second half.
Well, certainly we need Dave Cowens. We're going to try and go inside and try and get some of their big people in foul trouble. We haven't been going in there as much. That's what we're going to try and do.
You're also putting a lot of pressure on the ball out front. It hasn't been quite as effective as it was in the ball game the other night in Boston.
Well, it's McAdoo certainly is a great player. Ernie's getting him the ball, and they're moving it very well. We're going to try and stop that also.
Okay, Tommy, thank you very much. Let's go back to Brent Musburger.
Thank you very much, Sonny. And just to pick up on what Tommy Heinsohn said, 1 foul on Bob McAdoo in the first half and 1 foul against John Shumate. You can take a look at the halftime statistics there on your screen, but so very important what you heard from the 2 coaches. Heinsohn wants to take it down inside against the Braves and try to get McAdoo and Shumate into foul trouble. Ramsey, on the other hand, wants some lob passes to McAdoo, who will be breaking toward the basket. So Mindy Rudolph, both those interviews, very revealing for our fans on CBS here this afternoon. McAdoo with 19 first half points, Smith with 14, DiGregorio with 10. Buffalo has dominated. They have done the things that they wanted to do, but they have not yet won this basketball game. 24 minutes to go. It's 55-50.
White, Havlicek, and Scott. Interesting enough, all coming from the small men. Silas and Cowens have been contained, and of course, as we heard, Ramsey wants to continue that. He is not unhappy with a 5-point lead. In fact, when the game is over with, he'll be happy with a 1-point lead.
Game 6, Boston and Buffalo, one of the best rivalries in the NBA. Excuse me, Mindy, I'm going to loosen my tie. It's going to be that kind of a second half. All right. Celtics with the ball, and here they come. Trying now to cut that lead to 3 points. White goes deep into the right corner. Ernie D with him. They come back on. Charlie Scott not happy with the way things are setting up. Havlicek with McMillian on him. Scott takes Randy Smith underneath the basket. Cowens jumps over on Shumate. Shot clock a factor now. Celtics must hurry against it. Just a couple of seconds. Cowens blocked by Shumate. Went back to it. Braves with control. They can go up by 7 points. Smith to McMillian.
Good play by Randy Smith. He knew the driving lane was shut off. A little shovel pass to Jimmy McMillian, and the Braves score the first 2 points of the third quarter.
JoJo White has Ernie D in the right corner, and Ernie reaches around behind him and gets him. Foul. And for Ernie DiGregorio, that is foul number 2.
Not a very good foul by Ernie D. There's no sense for reaching for a ball that you can't get. And what you do is not so much get your own self in foul trouble, but you put your team closer to that quota.
God's cross-court Scott. Scott stops his assault. That's a couple of times in this game that he has just lobbed it up underhanded. Ramsey over on the Brave bench anticipated that play. He yelled for someone to jump baseline and cut Scott off. They didn't get there in time. Deflected away. Celts with control on the turnover. And cut that lead of Buffalo's to 3 points. Havlicek with the shot. And Cowens with an offense and a second chance that won't go. Silas hits the deck. No foul. Heinsohn furious. Can't believe it. Up along the Boston bench. Says what's going on. A man was poleaxed. DiGregorio lights it up.
I'll tell you, he was, and Ramsey is absolutely going to contain Cowens and Silas. Now, McAdoo did the job on Silas that time, and he really put him on the floor.
Is hit fierce inside. Shumate with a hand in front. Cowens to the basket.
Talked earlier about Cowens going to his left, and there's a prime example of it. What Shumate must do is deny him the ball.
Shumate telling Gerritsen as he broke out that he was pushed away by the free hand. Ernie D with a fake shot brings Cowens out. Now goes to Smith. Wheel left side. McMillian. Here's Silas all over McAdoo, so Jimmy hits it.
Jimmy McMillian in the flow of the ball. He needs some scoring from McMillian. They can't do it all with Randy Smith and McAdoo.
Intercepted by McMillian. On the break. White back and Jimmy's got it. 63 to 54. Heinsohn must call a timeout. Here they come. Listen to the crowd here in Buffalo. There's McMillian on the steal. Stepped out in front. Drove it home to put Buffalo up 63-54.
Take it from OJ. You don't get to be a superstar by just standing around. Like Hurts, you've got to perform day in, day out. No letdown. That's why they've got a performance standard to cover every little detail. From the moment you call Hurts till you drop off your car. To help make sure that when you walk up to that counter, your reservation's gonna be there and you'll get away fast. Into a clean, good running car. So rent a Ford from Hurts. See why they're the superstar in rent-a-car.
You're the pro, George. I need some new tires. What kind should I get? You're holding the answer in your hand. X-Fly tires? Turn it around, Frank. Dunlop. Dunlop tires, of course. Sure, Dunlop's one of the largest tire manufacturers in the world. That means a lot of people are putting a lot of trust in Dunlop on the road.
When you want to get more out of your drive, see a pro. That's me. See your Dunlop Pro. If you like us on the fairway, you'll love us on the freeway.
The NBA playoffs will continue next Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern when CBS Sports will present a doubleheader of the exciting semifinals. That's next Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Who's gonna make that play-up-in score? Who's gonna steal that ball on you? McAdoo, 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 McAdoo.
I love that song. I think it's great.
Randy Smith singing.
McAdoo.
Here come the Celtics. 63-54. Smith cuts off White, past the Cowens across the timeline, and there was contact.
Not gonna miss it anymore.
And it's a warning.
Now that's something they should not do. You don't stop the flow of the game to warn a coach. If the warning is going to be strong enough, if the action was strong enough, you go ahead and hit him with a technical foul. You don't stop the game to warn a coach.
9:30 left in the third quarter. Buffalo making the Celtics use too much time on that shot clock. Just at the buzzer, Scott got it off.
Not a very good shot selection, but for Charlie Scott, there is no such thing as range. He has it all.
Braves defense making the Celtics work here as we start the third quarter. Ernie D from the right corner. It's against Charlie Scott, and for Charlie his third.
Jack Ramsey calling out instructions to his ball club, especially to Randy Smith. Can you imagine if the officials had to stop the game every moment they heard something from the coach? We'd have interruptions all over this tube.
I can remember a Game 6 of a Buffalo-Boston series when you had quite an incident here a couple years ago at the end of that contest when JoJo White hit those 2 free throws that gave the Celtics the victory and the Eastern Conference title. Charlie Scott on the drive, off to White. Cowens comes up, Shumate. It's the last player there for Buffalo. He went out of bounds.
And the official I worked that game with is working out here tonight. Or I should say today. Darryl Garrison. Let's watch Shumate get great position, but just off his knee for an overturn for an out.
JoJo drills it. 65 to 58. 7-point margin. Ernie starts to move. Scott cuts him off at the baseline. They come back outside to set it up. Ernie D lobs McAdoo. Silas right there. Here's Shumate. Shot clock. The factor. They'll have to hurry. McMillian. Celts with control. Excellent team defense that time. 65-58. Boston can pull to within 5. Inside of 8:20 in the third. Silas will try to do it. Released it a little short. Got there for a second chance. Tremendous battler. Loses it, and finally McMillian's got it. But it wasn't a lack of effort on Paul Silas's part that time. Here's McMillian shoveling over to Randy Smith.
A lot of our fans might wonder if they were calling for a 3-second play down there at the other end where the rebounding was going on, Brent. When the ball is loose, the 3-second count is off.
Here's Hondo, and he was fouled. It's against Smith. He has 3 fouls. The only member of Buffalo playing with 3 fouls. As far as Boston is concerned, they have Cowens, Scott, and Silas. All 3 with 3 fouls. 7:49 to go in the third quarter. 67-58. Buffalo must win this game to keep this series alive. Game 7 back in the Boston Garden Wednesday night, if needed. JoJo.
On that last play, Shumate was punting Cowens, denying his position and denying him the ball if he can do it.
Buffalo up by
Silas and McAdoo here. Silas and McAdoo are having themselves a little pushing affair.
Turnover. Smith didn't anticipate the movement from that corner. Hey, that's a pretty good whistle Jack Ramsey's got.
He can toot it.
Talk about a coach who stays in good physical condition. Jack Ramsey's out jumping rope, and there was McAdoo and Silas.
Here we go.
They push Silas away. McAdoo takes a step toward him. Darryl Garrison right up on McAdoo. Cowens is there. Silas has been pushed away. McAdoo not backing down at all. Let's take a look at this, Mindy, and see exactly what happened. Lower right-hand side of your frame. Silas goes through. He and McAdoo collided. Look at Big Mac step toward him.
The previous play on the Boston end, I mentioned to our viewers that was going on between McAdoo and Silas, and when it came down court, it occurred again. Now the officials were there to control it because they were really going at it, nose to nose.
You know, we've had a few disagreements over the years, but there's one thing we do agree on, and that's light beer from Miller. Light is 1/3 less calories than their regular beer.
But the best part is that it tastes so great.
The best part is it's less filling.
Nah, it tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling. Less filling. You know even less about beer than basketball.
That's it, Heinsohn. You're out of the bar.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
For the past 12 years, we've been doing punishing things like this to Ford pickups to show you on television how tough Fords are built. But what are the facts in everyday year-in, year-out usage? Well, according to R.L. Polk registrations, 93 out of 100 of all Ford trucks built in the last 12 years are still on the job. That doesn't prove how long the 76s will last, but that's the kind of toughness we build into every Ford truck. 93 out of 100 built since '63 are still on the job.
In 2 weeks, CBS Sports Spectacular will present the 101st running of the Preakness from Pimlico. Kentucky Derby winner Bold Forbes will be competing with Honest Pleasure for the second leg of racing's Triple Crown. That's the Preakness in 2 weeks on CBS Sports Spectacular.
Mendy, do you think that Jolly might change Baeza? Get him down off on his pleasure after losing the Bold Forbes
I
Kentucky
wouldn't
Derby.
be surprised. He wasn't too happy with Braulio with the previous ride, and he can't be pleased with what happened yesterday in the Derby. So I would say that possibly there could be a jockey change. Say if I weighed about 126 pounds, I'd get on that horse. I'd love to ride something like that horse. Imagine what it must be with the power in your hands to just go anytime you want to.
Speaking of power, it's 67-60, Buffalo ahead of Boston, and a lot of muscle right now. White got it, and he drew the foul from DiGregorio.
Ernie D down low then on JoJo White, not attempting to block the shot so much as attempting to deny JoJo the pace and the rhythm to go to the hoop.
3-point play reduces Buffalo's lead to 4 points.
I'll tell you, if you think it's rough between McAdoo and Silas, Shumate and Cowens have something going on out here also.
Silas with McAdoo, they're fronting him, and he backs off. Look at that left hand right in front of McAdoo. Bob gets it anyway. Goes up in the air. Silas was there, off the iron. Silas got back, and here come the Celtics. They can pull to within a couple of points if they convert. They've been losing up time. Cowens gets inside. McAdoo jumps over, and Cowens traveled as he tried to save it.
And McAdoo made that play possible. So had he not jumped over to pick up Cowens, it was an easy dunk for the big guy. Buffalo much tougher on defense this game, Brent.
They sure are. From the side, here come the Braves. 67-63 and 6:36 to go in the third quarter. They set it up on the right side with Shumate in possession. McMillian pops out. That takes the forward away from the glass when he comes over there. Here's McAdoo. Now Shumate goes under to help out on the boards. As McAdoo put it on the floor, there was contact.
McAdoo applauded that time. He said, that kid, keep his hands off my body. And there you see the big, strong hand of Silas. And after this particular play, Silas went to McAdoo and patted him on the rear. And McAdoo applauded the call.
4 fouls on Silas. Ernie D. McAdoo battling against Silas for position. Smith from the corner. Battle underneath, won by Cowens, who got inside of Shumate. Scott comes down the middle. Here's Havlicek. Silas and Cowens move in close to the basket. White with the shot. Cowens there for the rebound. Havlicek took a pass. Great play by Boston.
Dave Cowens never came to the floor with the ball. Saw the open man and hit Havlicek under the hoop.
2 points. DiGregorio off the iron. Celtics can tie it here in the third quarter. Across the timeline, JoJo White with possession. Cowens comes down, sets up low. Silas is in there. White with the ball. Silas to Havlicek, right corner. Off the iron, and Randy Smith with possession brings it back up the floor. Braves trying to double their margin. Ahead 67-65 and 5:24 to go in the third. McAdoo with Silas on him. Now double team, triple team, and Ernie D is open, and McAdoo traveled. Heinzen yells out a play from the side. Lee Elder slipped into the lead. We'll be going to the Houston Open right after the second game of our NBA doubleheader. After this contest between Boston and Buffalo, it's Phoenix Golden State, Game 1, Western Conference Final.
George Caparo's 74 Chevrolet gets better mileage now than it got before. Because George got better mileage by the box. A box of Champion spark plugs. We've been checking cars like George's all over the country, proving that a fresh set of Champion spark plugs alone can improve mileage and performance. If you want better mileage, remember, now you can buy it by the box. Don't waste another gallon. Fill her up with Champions.
Jim Parker, a successful electrical contractor, is insured by Sentry Insurance. His business coverage, plus individual life policies for Jim and his wife. Today, Sentry has one of the fastest growing life insurance companies in the business, with over $2 billion of insurance in force. Now, maybe you wouldn't expect a company to take care of both your business and life insurance, but maybe you don't know Sentry.
A big insurance company doesn't have to act like a big insurance company.
Toro
Toro engineers go to the heart of Kentucky's bluegrass country to pit the powerful Toro Guardian against an entire acre of tough 8-inch high grass. That's about twice as high as most grass you'll ever have to mow. But Toro's exclusive high-torque engine has the extra cutting power it takes. This Toro cleared the entire acre without stalling once. Precision engineering is what makes a Toro a Toro. Haven't you done without a Toro long enough?
Look at that view. And a reminder of the CBS Sports Spectacular next Saturday. A lot of speed. The Alabama 500, the Stockers, and the Spanish Grand Prix, the Formula One. Mindy, I read where they've got a 6-wheel car in that Spanish Grand Prix.
6 wheels?
That's what they said.
They can't be carrying a spare now. Not allowed to carry one, right? Boston has gone for 7 unanswered points here, Brent. Buffalo's got to shut them off now.
Dick Gibbs is checked in to take Havlicek. Cowens trying to slide behind Shumate. Gibbs going with Havlicek. White has a shot blocked by DiGregorio. And here come the Braves. They lead it, but only by 2 points. 4:59 in the third. Ernie D to set the play. Cowens waits down in the hole now. McAdoo up over Silas. It is a 4-point Buffalo lead, 69-65.
And that's the first 2 points that Buffalo has scored in the last 3 minutes.
Celtics will try to answer it. Off of White's knee and out of bounds.
Hey, I tell you, they say that Ernie D can't play defense. Well, he's showing some believers today. This kid has blocked 2 or 3 shots and is giving JoJo White fits. Now let's watch this. He'll reach in, cause the turnover off JoJo's knee.
4:40 on that clock here in the third quarter. Gibbs handles the ball for the first time. Silas trying to front McAdoo with his left hand. Pass gets into Bob anyway. Quick pass to Dick Gibbs. Cowens jumps over and intimidates him. Gibbs hits anyway.
And McAdoo knew he was double teamed and somebody had the open. He found the open man.
Now it's a 6-point lead. 4 minutes and 19 seconds left in the third quarter. Shumate waits to pick up Cowens. Ernie D harasses him. Silas free at the right baseline. McAdoo jumped back out for the ball, and that gave Silas daylight.
That Paul Silas, I'll tell you, he could play for me any day, any night, with any club that I might coach or own.
Shumate drives on Cowens. They'll come the other way as Don Nelson checks in.
Very poor shot selection by Shumate. He had the driving lane cut off. He was double teamed, and all he had to do was find the open man.
John Havlicek sits down. Second foul on Shumate. Boy, Charlie Scott did a magnificent job of stepping in there and getting position. White waits now for Scott. 71-67, 4-point margin. 3:48 in the third quarter from the Arch Buffalo. Picked by Cowens. Ernie D slides behind it. White goes the other way. Left baseline. Shumate on the block. Off his shoulder, McAdoo. Lead pass. Gibbs is there. Scott comes back. Smith comes down. Great hustle by Dave Cowens. Even though the Braves hit it, Cowens cut off the easy basket. Back down the other end. Nelson up over Gibbs. Gibbs battling him all the way, and he fouled him.
And Jack Ramsey saying, what does he have to do to get a call? And I'll tell you, the officials are doing a super game, so this is a very, very tough game to officiate. Interesting thing here, Brent. I don't think, in fact, I am certain, that Ramsey does not have confidence in Jimmy McMillian playing Don Nelson. He has put Gibbs on Nelson because in the previous games, Don Nelson has burned Jimmy McMillian terribly.
JoJo White was heading to the bench after being replaced by Kevin Stakem. Stakem and Scott will work in the Celtic backcourt. 73-69, 3:22 to go in the third quarter. Ernie D has Stakem watching him. Smith, left baseline. 6-point Buffalo lead. Celtics coming right back, taking it to them. Scott on the drive. Pretty play by Charlie Scott. They left the middle wide open.
Gave a beautiful fake as opposed to a handoff. He faked the handoff to Cowens, got Shumate leaning to his right, and drove for the hoop.
Now it's a 4-point basketball game. Look at Silas. They lob it to McAdoo, which is what Ramsey wants. Shot wouldn't go. Shumate gives him a second chance at the glass. Cowens, rebound. Quick pass down to Paul Silas. They can pull to within a couple of points. Don Nelson backs into Gibbs in his contact offense. They'll turn it over. Here come the Braves.
Let's watch JoJo as he passes off to Charlie Scott. Charlie Scott underhand scoop. Fake pass, leaving the driving lane open.
Buffalo now, Mindy, going to work with that 4-point lead, and 2:34 here in the third. Smith gives it off to Gibbs on the turnaround. Nelson was there and came out and fouled
tell you, Ramsey has put Gibbs in for defensive reasons against Nelson. He has 2 field goals already. He's going to the free throw line for 2 shots. He may wind up with 6 points. And it's amazing how this strategy works sometimes. You put somebody in for offensive purposes, and he'll play great defense, and vice versa.
I never felt so sorry for an athlete in all my life as I did Dick Gibbs in Game 4, Championship Series, Washington Golden State, when he missed that layup in the final minute. I believe that would have tied the game at that point. So Buffalo picked him up from Washington in the offseason.
Had to be one of the most agonizing moments, Brent, in college or professional. He scored 6 points.
Deadly here, Mendy, and it is a 6-point Buffalo lead. And 2 minutes and 25 seconds to play in the third.
Whoa, Nelson
goes down. Gibbs is down.
Boy, I'll tell you, there are body blocks out here. That's just unbelievable. Nelson gave Gibbs a shot with his shoulder. Now we'll watch them, see what occurs down on this end of the court. I'm sure there'll be some retaliation.
Nelson pushing against Gibbs. Braves are over on the other side. Shumate with possession and Cowens there. Over on the weak side. Play is stopped by Richie Powers. That foul was against Charlie Scott, his 4th.
Now, both teams are in the penalty situation from this moment on, Brent. Any foul call will be shot.
And we had a foul inside.
Randy Smith hooking Charlie Scott as he attempted to drive the lane. An offensive foul, no shooting foul.
King Charles wanting to check in. Ramsey unhappy. Charles didn't get the buzzer in time. Stakem gets past Ernie. Dave comes back on him with a block. Nelson jumped up into McAdoo.
Ramsey furious with his home timekeeper that he did not blow the whistle fast enough or the horn fast enough to get the substitution in. Well, let's watch this shot as it goes up. Let's pick up the rebound. Nelson with perfect position. McAdoo. And that's a foul that is very, very difficult to call, Brent, because when the defensive man has his hands vertically extended, he's allowed that position. He's allowed that position with his arm. And if contact does occur, it should not be his responsibility. That is a legal guarding position. I didn't like that call.
A 3-point Buffalo lead. Ernie D working against Stakem. Gibbs goes underneath the basket. Nelson follows him. Lob pass. Cowens is right there waiting. McAdoo was fouled.
Let's pick up this isolation on Nelson. Now watch Donnie as he tries to get to McAdoo, but Cowens got there first. Nelson could have afforded the foul, definitely not Cowens.
His 4th foul, Mendy.
And that could be a problem for the Celtics.
Braves up by 4. McAdoo with 22 points and Scott with possession. 1:30 to go in the third quarter. Nelson drives.
Number 21.
Gibbs fouling.
Let's watch this under the basket play. Gibbs underneath, and there's the pass off. No shooting foul. Another good foul because Silas had an easy field goal. I like fouls that are committed, Brent, when they cut off a possible layup or a possible field goal. Fouls that are committed when they lead to no points at all, to me, are foolish and silly sometimes.
White checks back into the game for the Celtics. Scott goes out. Nelson at the line. Can cut Buffalo's lead to 3. He does. 1:26 to go in the third. 78-75 is the score. Pressure from White and Stakem on the ball. Ernie D against Kevin Stakem. The 2 former Providence stars battling each other. McAdoo pops out high. They get him away from the glass, which is where they want him. Comes up with a shot on Silas. Silas tips it. McAdoo goes up. McAdoo control off the Shumate. Turns inside Cowens. Silas back to the rebound. Scott and the Celtics pulled to within 1 point. 1 minute left in the third quarter. Cowens drives around and Ernie D gets his hand out to steal. Lead past Shumate. White is back. Shumate loses it. He falls down. Here comes JoJo White after the turnover. Ernie D and McAdoo wait. White on the side. McAdoo came over. Goaltending. 78-77.
Unbelievable pace in this ball game. Let's just JoJo White filming the ball to the hoop. He'll go up and lay it up. McAdoo will come into your picture and get the ball on the way down for a goaltending call.
Now, 38 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Buffalo ahead by a point. Shumate gets back to Charles, who comes underneath. Offensive foul.
Dave Cowens had the driving lane put off the baseline. Kenny Charles ignored it and just tried to run over him. The intensity here. Can you feel it, Brent?
Oh, I've felt it throughout the afternoon here in Buffalo. Heinsohn yelling something at JoJo as the Celtics set up. Time remaining in the third quarter. Celtics trail by a point. They'll try to take the lead right here. Stakem on the drive. Ernie D cuts him off. Stakem with a shot. Shumate. 12 seconds left. Braves can run the clock out. They'll go for the one shot right now. 5 seconds. 78-77 they lead. Inside of 5. Ernie D back out. Charles will have to take it off the iron. But the Braves will go over to the sideline at the end of 3 quarters with a 1-point lead. 78-77. 12 minutes to go. Buffalo must win or it's vacation time for the Braves and Jack Ramsey.
See the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
Chevy value for 1976 includes 2 steel walls in vital areas for strength and durability. We'd like to show you where. 2 steel walls in the hood, and the fenders. 2 steel walls in the tailgate, and the body, even in the roof. Chevy value, 2 steel walls for strength and durability. Your money's worth mile after mile.
Oh, no. I got athlete's foot!
Oh, I see it!
Oh, I've got athlete's foot again.
If you've got athlete's foot, don't blame Desinex, because Desinex contains the most widely used fungus killer to help stop athlete's foot fast. And Desinex every day helps keep it away. So from now on, if you get athlete's foot, it's your fault, not ours.
Is your car getting ready to give you an expensive surprise? To help find the answer, Shell asked 150 drivers to go over their cars with the Shell Early Warning Checklist. 2 out of 3 drivers found a dangerous or expensive problem in the making. Now you can use the same checklist on your car. It's in the Early Warning Book, free from your participating Shell dealer. Come to Shell for answers.
More NBA action on CBS right after this game. We'll go out to Oakland, where the Warriors will open up the Western Conference Final against the Phoenix Suns. 16,261 on hand here in Buffalo. We understand that the Brave management did what the Celtic management did on Friday night. Lifted the blackout here in Buffalo. So we welcome all the fans from Buffalo watching their Braves in a game they must win. McAdoo on the lob pass. Off the iron, drew the foul, but he wanted that to go in so he could convert a 3-point play.
Now, that's what I mean by committing a smart foul, which Nelly does. Don Nelson, knowing that McAdoo is going to score, does he not foul him? And he does, fouls him strong enough and hard enough to miss that field goal. That is a good foul. You don't waste those fouls. As we get down into the closing minutes of these ball games, in the last quarter, where you have a 1-point difference, fouls are going to be very, very important, Brent.
A 3-point lead. It's 80-77. Final 12 minutes just underway. Smith watching White. Everybody on the left side. One-on-one, Silas McAdoo. Now Stakem comes over. Celtics have poor movement right now. Gotta hurry. Good team defense by Buffalo. Here's JoJo White outside. Oh, he put it in anyway, and Ramsey was furious. Did you see Jack Ramsey?
I'll tell you, he almost put a hole through the floor.
He is stopping and ready to go. Oh, are we going to have some quarter of basketball? 80-79 and 11:09 is McMillian inside of Silas, and he travels. Charlie Scott coming back into the game. Scott has 4 fouls on him. Cowens with 4. Paul Silas with 4 fouls. No one on Buffalo with 4 fouls. Ernie D is playing right now with 3. Randy Smith, I guess, does have 4. So 1 player with 4 fouls. Here's Scott with Kenny Charles watching him. Cowens turn around at the baseline. McAdoo went over on the double team, and there was contact.
Now that's the play I talked about. Cowens has taken Shumate into the lane 3-4 times. He has burned him. Now he faked him into the lane, and he went baseline. Now watch this. There he goes to baseline. Underneath, and there's the rebound by the one and only that we talk about so often, Paul Silas, in position to pick the ball off the board. It's incredible how he continues to do that.
Silas
almost like a magic jump.
Try it, and he does not. This is 2. McAdoo stepped inside and pulled it down. 80-79. Buffalo ahead. 10:43 remaining to be played here in Buffalo. Shumate waits for McMillian. Now Jimmy left alone at the line. Nelson was there after the miss. Charlie Scott comes across. Charles wants White. Randy Smith goes over on Scott. Charlie takes a bomber. Oh, a rainbow. He puts an arch on that shot, doesn't he?
That ball almost hit nothing but the inside string. I never saw the net move less.
Now the Braves trying to regain the lead. They have just lost to Charlie Scott and the Celtics. Silas stepped out on McAdoo, still with possession. Triple team. McMillian from the side, off the iron. Cowens taps to Silas. Lead pass, JoJo White. White comes on in, takes the jump shot on the pull-up. Battles it back off to Nelson. Over here's Charlie Scott again. Pass to Silas all alone underneath.
But I'll tell you, the reason Silas was in position to receive that pass is he anticipated a shot going up by Charlie Scott. He was going through the boards to get his rebounding position, but Charlie Scott, being the player that he is, saw Silas wide open, double off the pass, easy field goal.
The old ridge route atop the San Gabriel Mountains. Today it's closed for a professional driver to demonstrate the Sears Steel Guardsman Radial. A rugged tire with radial design and 2 tough steel belts. It's a strong road-holding tire. The Sears Steel Guardsman Radial. Now on sale. Save 25%. Only at Sears.
The signal in the belfry of Boston's Old North Church sent Paul Revere riding with his call to freedom. His spirit still lives in the Old North Church, and Sears is helping to keep it bright with the Weather Beater. Sears' best and toughest latex for trim, doors, and siding. Climate formulated to battle the elements with a tough satin finish. The Weather Beater, helping beautify and preserve America's heritage and great American homes like yours.
Next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, the CBS Sports Spectacular will present the Alabama 500 with Richard Petty competing for $200,000 in prize money. The Women's World Cup Surfing Championships from Haleiwa, Hawaii, the richest women's surfing event ever. And highlights of the Spanish Grand Prix with a 6-wheel Formula One racer competing for the first time in Grand Prix racing. That's next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
During that timeout, Jack Ramsey reminding the Buffalo Braves to check out after a shot by the Celtics. Keep Silas and Cowens away from the offensive board. Buffalo trailing by 3 points, 83-80. McAdoo out high, and Nelson takes him. Cowens waits inside. Nelly was there. McAdoo with a miss. McAdoo regains his second chance. Silas is there at the defensive board.
And McAdoo's got to convert those second chances if Buffalo is to stay close.
McAdoo is there on defense, and Nelson with another effort because he hustled to the glass. After his shot was blocked, it's a 5-point Boston lead. 9:10 to go in this basketball game. Dick Gibbs will check back in for the Braves. McMillian under the basket as McAdoo waits. The Braves slowing down on offense. Good defense by the Celtics here the last 2 minutes. Shumate waits. Shot clock down toward 5. Ernie D outside. The battle, Cowens, Silas, McAdoo, McMillian.
They were all underneath there. And it's on Dave Cowens. Let's watch Don Nelson here as he gets the shot blocked. He stays in position, gets the shot blocked, lays it up on the glass for a field goal. Now that was a foul against Cowens, Brent, and of course the fans here in Buffalo love it. He's playing with 5 personal fouls at 8 minutes and 48 seconds to go. He stays in the game, jumps over, McAdoo drives on him, trying to get that last one. Ernie D outside. 85-82, 3-point lead. Now they need that field goal. Up and Nelson passes out of bounds. Waves, if they can convert this turnover, will pull to within 1 point. Dick Gibbs on the floor. Smith and DiGregorio, Shumate and McAdoo are there. Scott, White, Cowens, Silas, and Nelson await the Braves. Great pass, and White got back and still picking up and put it in. It's a 1-point game. 85-84, and 8:19 to play here in Buffalo. White being checked by Ernie D. Shumate watching Cowens. Cowens comes around in front of him and takes it. Gives it right back to JoJo. White and McAdoo came over on defense. Cowens there. 2 absolutely marvelous plays. McAdoo with a great block. Cowens not even coming to the floor with the ball and up for a field goal. Incredible basketball. 3-point Buffalo lead. McAdoo takes the lob. Silas allows it in, and he's got it. 87-86. Have we got something going here? 7:44 to play. Silas out away from the glass. McAdoo watches him. Cowens goes and sets a pick, and then he gets the pass right there with Shumate. They give it off to JoJo on the sweep inside. Silas at that offensive board, as he has done so many times in this series. Goes up and hits the big field goal. The Celtics back up by 3. 7:20 to go right now. McAdoo comes out on Scott. Ernie D slides the other way. Silas jumps over. McAdoo was battling as he went up in the air, and he fouled. Now let's watch Silas has. I'll tell you, Brent, how he goes up and gets these balls is just unbelievable. It's a nose for the ball. Anybody who wants to learn how to rebound offensively should take Paul Silas and have a long compliment. He should write a book on offensive rebounding. 4 fouls on McAdoo. Cowens is playing with 5. It's 89-86. Cowens inside. McAdoo there, and Cowens fouled. Turn it over and from the side. Again, a good defensive play of McAdoo cutting off the driving lane. Had Cowens get a little befuddled and cause the turnover. Now watch what Cowens does here. He has 5 fouls on him. And if there's one thing that Cowens does not do, he does not change his style of play. Cowens will continue to play the type of defense that he does. He will not back off. 6 minutes and 55 seconds to play. McAdoo pops out and Charlie Scott on the defensive switch. Randy Smith left alone, misses from the corner, and it is McAdoo with an offensive rebound and a miss. Paul Silas out, pass to Scott. Nelson's on his left. Smith comes back with that tremendous speed. Scott fires and hits a big basket, and he was fouled. Charlie Scott demonstrating tremendous athletic ability on that play. You watch Charlie Scott in a foot race with Randy Smith, who does have some speed over Charlie Scott, but Charlie Scott with great control was able to control the basketball, even though he got bumped by Randy Smith and went up for the field goal. A 5-point difference with 6 minutes and 39 seconds. 91-86. It's down to that for Buffalo.
You know, I finally found a beer I can respect. Light beer from Miller. It tastes great. But what I really like is less filling. Light has 1/3 less calories than their regular beer. I tell you, I gotta watch myself. This is a tough place. Well, this place is so tough, the hat check girl's name is Dominic. In a place like this, I gotta move fast. I can't afford to get filled up. I tell you, I don't get no respect.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
You know it's one of the toughest weeds in your lawn? The dandelion, because dandelions have roots up to 2 feet long. And if you don't get it all, it just grows back. What you need is Scott's Turf Builder Plus 2. It gets rid of the whole dandelion, root and all, and 40 other weeds too, while it thickens your lawn with Turf Builder fertilizer. And right now, you'll even save money during Scott's Plus 2 sale.
In passing tests certified by the United States Auto Club at various road speeds,
It was shown that Ford's Pinto Pony, even with its road-hugging weight, moved out and passed faster than Datsun B210, faster than Chevette, and faster than Toyota Corolla. Yet Pinto Pony still gets great mileage ratings. This kind of performance helps make Pinto the best-selling small car in America at your Ford dealer.
The difference in the game. Rebounds. Boston 47, Buffalo 32. Reflected in the score, 91-86. And it has been a grueling afternoon for Richie Powers and Darrell Garrison, who have kept this game in check, even though we've had minor outbursts throughout all four quarters. Charlie Scott at the line after hitting that field goal. Misses on the three-point effort. Here come the Braves. Can pull to within 3. Ernie D gets down deep on the left side. Waits for Smith, who comes around him. Scott switches off. Over to Dick Gibbs. Has Nelson watching him. McAdoo wants it. Silas trying to cut off the passing lane. So McAdoo goes outside to take his shot. Out of play. Here come the Boston Celtics. It's 91-86. That time, they forced McAdoo to go outside to take the pass. What a performance Paul Silas has turned in here in Buffalo. 91-86, 6-13. Scott on the drive. Oh, he has been magnificent at both ends.
And you can feel it coming. They need a field goal desperately here, or else they're going to pack their bags and go home. They need to get something going. They have complete stalled out their defense and their offense. Buffalo is ragged at this point.
Shumate muscles up, and there's that basket they needed.
How big that can be to get something going. Now they got to hold Boston off. Shut them out if they can.
Celtics ahead by 5, 93-88. Time remaining in the right-hand corner. 5 minutes and 40 as they move inside. Cowens saves it. Shumate came out. Cowens, double team, gives off to Scott. Smith goes with him. Oh, Scott again. McAdoo couldn't get up on it. Charlie Scott is putting on a one-man show that is unbelievable here in the fourth quarter.
He has got the spark plug going. He has burned Randy Smith 3 or 4 times, and I'll tell you, when you can go by Randy Smith, who's probably the fastest guard in this league, you've got something going. Look at this Charlie Scott, how he just gets up there at times, the absolute magnificent defensive play of McAdoo, and goes by him. Charlie Scott has turned it on.
Smith will take a break after that, too, Mendy. Ken Charles and Ernie DiGregorio will work in the backcourt for Jack Ramsey. Shumate, Gibbs, and McAdoo up front.
Now, one of the reasons Charlie Scott is doing so well against Randy Smith, Randy is playing with 5 fouls, but that should really not affect him. Because he's got to shut Charlie Scott off. We have an offensive foul now, Brent, against Shumate.
They're trying to get it to Shumate. Buffalo clear.
Buffalo clear. And we heard that loud and clear.
Tommy blows hard over there, I'll tell you.
You're making the pass. Take your after him now.
Pressure from the Braves. Ernie D picks up JoJo White. 95-88. Moving down toward the 5-minute mark left in this game. McAdoo, Silas rotate underneath the basket. Scott again outside. Oh, Charlie Scott, light him up. What a job here in the fourth quarter.
Charlie Scott has done it, has he not? Wow.
It has been Scott and Silas here. McAdoo. Cowens is down. McAdoo has it knocked away. Ernie D saves it. Scott comes out on Ernie D. Steals the ball, and here comes Charlie Scott. Gibbs rotates under, and Ernie DiGregorio got back and hacked him.
Paul Silas extremely happy with Charlie Scott. Goes over and gives him a pat on the rump. And I'll tell you, this is probably the best playoff game that I've ever seen Charlie Scott play. In fact, it's the only playoff series he's been in. He was not in any playoffs when he played out in the West.